Hey guys, my name is Sean and I create memories with a click. Welcome back to the channel. So before I get into and announce whether or not the Canon R50V has earned a spot on my team, let's just recap the first video and what my experiences was around the first 30 days or so, just in case you missed that first video. So when Canon announced and came out with the Canon R50V as a small video centric camera, it definitely caught my attention because normally on a weekly basis, I use my camera on a gimbal for church and the media ministry. Normally I'm flying my R6 Mark II with the Canon 35 1.4. So just in the efforts of having a lighter setup, but still having a video centric camera, which I'm, trying to tap into the video thing, more so than just doing it here on my channel. The camera caught my attention. So I ordered the body only. I knew that I did not want the kit lens with the variable aperture. So my first lens that I purchased was the Sigma, if I remember correctly, maybe it was the 16 to 35, 16 to 40, something like that, the f2.8. What I learned is with a couple of Sigma lenses, I did order the 16-1.4 and then the 56-1.4. What I learned in the previous video that I showed is the color difference coming from the Sigma lenses was way different than the Canon lenses, and I just really didn't like that at all. But more importantly, when I was using it at church under those lighting conditions, which I would say is a low light situation, the camera just did not do well at all. In comparison, it couldn't come close to the image quality that I was getting from my R6 Mark II and the 35 1.4. And that was the type of quality I was used to, and that was what I was going after. Um, it just didn't work. So what I did was I had to beat myself up to see if I wanted to keep the camera but not use it for the primary use that I had purchased it for. I still saw some good things about the camera. I actually wanted the camera to work for me, but I was going back and forth. And I would use it in one situation. I'm like, nah, I'm gonna send it back. And then I would use it in another situation. I'm like, man, this is pretty good. So what I found out is, if you, mind you, I was shooting in a normal color profile. Okay. If you're using outdoors under under the normal color profile, meaning non-log footage, you have the potential to get great video. I used it with the client that hired me to do some headshots, and as a bonus, I just wanted to test out the camera more, and I captured some video footage of her and her staff in a salon, and the image quality was amazing. At that time, I had rented from Lens Rental the 16 to 28 f2.8 IS lens, which, side note, I think that's probably the best pair for this camera. The only problem is that lens is $1,300 for $650 budget camera. So I feel like that will have its place for specific individuals. But I was torn because there were certain times where I got great quality, and then there were certain times where I didn't, and then I could not use it for the primary purpose in which I bought it for. So that was what I was going back and forth, and that was kind of what I shared. I was throwing up the idea of possibly getting an R8 because that has a great sensor, great image quality. That could be definitely a dual threat tool for me, not only to use it for video, but if I needed to take a couple of photos with it, I felt confident that I can, take some pictures with a R8. I could not do that with the Canon R50V. It's just not made for that, in my opinion. So that is where I was. So the time that I was going through this whole process, it had been about 30 days, and I exhausted my return period from Adorama. So because I just wasn't happy with and the consistency that I was getting out of the camera, I sent it back. I had another headshot session with the client, and the I did a video testimonial at the end, And, to shoot it in a vertical form, I was like, man, I wish I, had the R50V. I wish I could have had it to use it, but still get the same quality that I was expecting. So, because it hadn't completely left my mind, I purchased it from Canon. And with Canon, you have to 14 days to try it out and test it. So during this time, I was also looking at other videos, and everybody kept saying in order to maximize the image quality and the dynamic range of the camera, you had to shoot in log. So I'm not a videographer, I'm not a cinematographer. I really honestly just do video for this channel, and I might mess around with some other stuff, but by no means do I claim to be a videographer. All right, but it's something that I want to get into, want to understand, and be proficient in. So with that being said, I messed around. I started shooting in log. I kind of got a little recipe from one of my homies who is a dope videographer. And so I started shooting in log. So me and my wife went to a pier, and I did a photo shoot, but I also got a lot of video. Um, and I wanted to see what it could do. And it blew me away. Like, I was hooked. It blew me away. I absolutely loved the footage that I was able to get out of it. I loved the color. It was bright. It was sunny. Then the sun started to set. It was just dope. Like, I was happy. I was ecstatic. I felt like I was gonna keep it. And then I had another photo shoot, um, where I just wanted to get a little bit of footage for the client, just to make a reel for myself and the client, but just mainly for myself to kind of post for marketing purposes. And I'm like, man, this is horrible. Like, not horrible, but it just didn't have that color, that pop. Like, it just didn't do it for me. Like, I wasn't satisfied with the footage. And I was wondering why it was so inconsistent with my first experience with it versus this experience. So it led me down another rabbit hole. So I started to compare the R50V 24 megapixel sensor to the R6 Mark II 24 megapixel sensor. And I just wanted to see what the difference was, what the difference in the colors was. And that's where I had my aha moment. And I'm going to show that video on the screen right now. So what I've learned is that based on my process of how I have learned to color grade footage, um, this camera is just not capable of doing what a R8 is able to do, or a R6. And I'm not trying to, don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to compare a $650 camera to a $2,000 camera, right? But what I wasn't expecting was the result was to be so different. And now it got me to the point where there were some things I liked about the camera, but there were some things that I didn't like. And now I don't know when I would have the confidence enough to pick up this camera to use it for any given situation, because the color and what it's capable of capturing was just so different. If I was shooting in a studio space or a space where it had great light, uh, then I was good. So with all that being said, I was right at my 14 days again. I was really trying it. I was trying it and just trying to put it through its paces in different situations to see if it would work for me, because there were some things that I liked about the camera. But that time had expired, and I decided to return that one back to Canon, and I feel like I completed and done everything that I could think to do, whether or not this would be a good addition for me and how I would use it. So with not being able to use it for my primary source, which is weekly in church on my gimbal, that was out, and not having the confidence to pick it up and use it for whatever situation that I felt like that was in a good light situation or a good lit situation, I just didn't have the confidence. And if I kept it, and used it, in the back of my mind, I would always have a thought, well, what would have happened if I'd have picked up the R6 and shot the same footage, or picked up the R5 and shot the same footage? So for me, it's a no-go. I think Canon kind of did okay with making a budget camera, but also I think it would have been more productive and they probably would have sold more units if they would have come out with maybe like a R8V, something that had the ability to just get better image quality. And I think I just saw somebody's video that I think Canon was kind of dropping some patents. So that may be coming out very soon, a R8V. So yeah, I decided not to keep it. Who do I think this camera is for? Um, well, I actually thought it was for someone like me who, have a plethora of RF lenses that didn't need to, have a main camera, but still didn't want to be limited to many situations. It just didn't do it for me. Like, I didn't have any confidence in the camera when I picked it up and used it. And once I saw what I was getting and the inconsistencies, it just didn't have it. So um I still feel like it might have its place for somebody though. If you are building a podcast studio, if you're getting into podding, and you need an inexpensive way and you need maybe like 2 or 3 cameras, if you can light your studio well, then you can get a R50V with the kit lens for $900. So you can have 3 cameras for $3,000. Um, it's kind of hard to say because in order to get the lenses that complement it, you're gonna have to spend way more money than what the camera costs. And at that point, you're just opening yourself up to so many more options. Like I said, I think the best lens for this is a full frame lens, and I think it's the 16-28 f2.8 IS lens because the lens is image stabilized. Right now, I believe it's 1249 for that lens, but that's a lens that if I was going to keep the camera, that's a lens that I would probably buy for that because I can use that lens interchangeably with all of my full frame cameras and use it with the R50V. Me personally, I was not going to invest in RFS lenses where I could only shoot on that camera. After looking at the difference between what the Sigma lenses gave me versus what some of the Canon lenses gave me, I knew that I just didn't want to invest in an RFS lens at that point. So I still feel like it has its place. Maybe with a couple of firmware updates, maybe, Canon can, like do some tweaks and make the image quality better, especially when it comes to the dynamic range and get some consistency in what the camera's able to do. Maybe they won't, and maybe their plan is to release the R8V that's going to give you the image quality that we probably would want. So guys, thank you for rocking with me on this channel. That is my time. I hope this information is helpful to you if you are considering buying a Canon R50V. As always, thank you for rocking with me on this channel. If you haven't done so, please like, comment, and subscribe. I'll catch you guys on the next one.